5 people were killed, another 25 injured during a late night out for an LGBTQ plus club in Colorado Springs Saturday. My co-anchor Nicole Brady is live from the Springs this morning outside Club Q on the city's east side. And Nicole, everyone is still just trying to process how this could happen again in a place that was meant as a fun community gathering space.
Absolutely. And sadly, we do know this kind of tragedy. It's happened before. A lot of people thinking of the Pulse nightclub tragedy in Orlando this morning. But yes, this is a place where people had come to feel very safe, very accepted, and that trust and feeling of community has been shattered this morning. As you said, it started out a seemingly innocent celebratory night, even ahead of Transgender Remembrance Day, a Saturday night, going into a holiday week. This Club Q has been in this community for the past 2 decades, and throughout that time it has served as a place where the LGBTQ community could find peace in what we know is a conservative city, a place where it can be hard to feel accepted. And no matter what, though, we can all agree this should have never ended it like this. So we do have team coverage this morning to tell you more about has reaction from the community, and Veronica Acosta is going to update us on what we know about the suspect in this horrific shooting. First, a little bit of background here on what we know this morning. 5 people, as we know, died. 25 people were injured. We still don't know the extent of those injuries. This all happened just before midnight at Club Q, and the club posted on Facebook that almost immediately patrons fought off the attacker, took a gun from their hands before officers even arrived on scene. Now, at this point, the investigation is still very early, and they have not confirmed if this was a targeted hate crime directed at the LGBTQ community. That is certainly one of the major questions this morning. So far, only one of the 5 victims has been positively identified. ABC News confirmed that he is Daniel Davis Aston. He was a bartender at Club Q, and Denver 7 spoke with a former employee who knew him.
He had just transitioned just a few years ago. He was just so radiant and so proud that his body reflected his emotions, that his outward appearance finally agreed with what he felt inside. And to know that one person can just take that away is devastating.
Now, we are also hearing from Aston's mom this morning, who told ABC News that he loved his job bartending and that he was just a funny person, an enthusiastic person who also performed shows at Club Q, and that he just brought energy and made people feel accepted wherever he went. Sadly, we are starting to learn as well from some people close to the situation that a second bartender was also killed in the shooting, but we have not positively confirmed the name of that person yet, nor the other 3 victims who lost their lives. Denver 7's Brandon Richard joins us now live. He has been here in Colorado Springs since yesterday covering this tragedy. And again, Brandon, to say that this was a safe haven for this community is really an understatement.
Yeah, that's right, Nicole. There's really been just an outpouring of support from the community. Members of the LGBTQ plus community say they felt like Club Q was a safe haven, that place they could go and be accepted. And now they say that has all been shattered. Now, on Sunday, we saw that community support. We saw hundreds of people gathering for a vigil at a local church. In fact, so many people wanted to attend that vigil that organizers had to hold a second service just to accommodate everyone, because not everyone, quite frankly, could fit inside of the church. At one vigil, or rather I should say, we saw lots of tears at that vigil, people hugging each other and just trying to comfort each other. At another vigil, we spoke with members of the LGBTQ plus community who, like all of us, are trying to understand how something like this could even happen.
People still out there don't like us. They look at us like something's wrong with us just because of who we love. So it's heartbreaking.
Now, we also saw a lot of people stopping by a makeshift memorial that continues to grow outside of Club Q. People stopping by to leave flowers, many of them reflecting on what this club means to them. And of course, many of them are wondering if Club Q will reopen, and even if it does, they wonder if it will ever feel the same. We're live in Colorado Springs this morning. Brandon Richard, Denver 7.
Yeah, a lot of clubs that are devoted to the LGBT community, no doubt feeling the same way this morning. Brandon, thank you. There are resources available if you need help processing this tragedy. A center has been set up at the Satellite Hotel on Lakewood Circle here in Colorado Springs. GLAAD and One Colorado will be there all week providing counseling services and a safe space for anyone who needs support through this time. We know, of course, that in times of tragedy, Coloradans tend to step up. We have seen many people donating to foundations already. The Colorado Healing Fund is collecting donations right now. You can go to coloradogives.org and look for Colorado Healing Fund, and you can select Club Q on the drop-down menu specifically. GoFundMe, meanwhile, has been working to verify fundraisers for some of the victims and survivors who were injured. The largest is organized by the Good Judy Garage, which is an LGBTQ plus owned auto repair shop, and that fund will support victims and their families. Already, they've raised over $150,000, with one anonymous donor giving them $50,000. So a lot of people feeling very hurt by this and wanting to do what they can. We will likely learn more today about those victims. It will be a tough day for a lot of people. But we do expect there to be a news conference with some updates from authorities a little bit later at noon today. And coming up throughout this hour, we'll be sharing stories of people who felt very close to Club Q. And we'll also share more from the patrons who were there inside, just this horrifying scene that unfolded. So for now, I'll send it back to you, Brian.
Yeah, two of those patrons credited for stopping the shooter and saving countless lives in the process. Thank you, Nicole. We'll talk to you again here in just a bit. As investigators are still trying to determine a motive for this attack, the bar's owners have called it a hate crime. But we're also learning more about the shooting suspect this morning. Denver 7's Veronica Acosta is following this angle of the story for us. And Veronica, law enforcement say that this man is no stranger to them.
He's not. So they have dealt with him before. Yeah. And this morning we are talking about him, not because we want to give him notoriety, but because we really want to get down to why exactly this happened. We know before he did this unthinkable act Saturday night, the suspect had encountered police before. Last year, he allegedly threatened his mom with a homemade bomb, forcing neighbors to evacuate while the bomb squad and crisis negotiators talked to him into surrendering. Despite all of this, there seems to be no record that prosecutors moved forward with felony kidnapping or menacing charges. It also doesn't seem police or the suspect's family members tried to trigger Colorado's red flag law. That actually would have allowed police to take those weapons, take the ammo that the suspect's mom said that he had last year. So we don't know if a triggered red law would have stopped Saturday's attack, right? But here's what we do know. It would have raised his profile with police. It would have potentially slowed the suspect's actions. Now, so far, El Paso County Sheriff isn't answering the questions about last year's arrest, but of course, we're going to keep pushing for those answers and try and see what exactly happened there, of course, for all of those victims. Okay,
thank you, Veronica. Our extended coverage on the shooting throughout the morning continues here on Denver 7. For more in-depth interviews and the links for how you can help the victims of this tragedy, we have those for you on our website, denver7.com.